The skyscraper towered over the city like a monument to ambition, its glass fatiled Section 8 gleaming in the morning sun. Inside, men and women in tailored suits moved with the urgency of people who believed the world revolved around their meetings and deadlines. Their shoes clicked against marble floors, their voices echoed in confident tones, and their eyes rarely drifted toward the man pushing a squeaky-wheeled cart down the hall. Thomas Reed had long since grown used to being invisible. That was the unspoken rule of his work: clean, polish, disinfect, and disappear. A good janitor wasn't supposed to be noticed, only the shine of his work was, and that was fine with him. He preferred quiet. Life had stripped away much of what he once dreamed about. There had been a time when Thomas believed he would teach music, maybe inspire kids to love the guitar the way he did. But after his wife's illness drained their savings and stole her from him, his world narrowed to survival. He needed a job that kept the lights on, even if it wasn't glamorous. The janitor job at Marston Global wasn't just steady, it was all that stood between him and losing everything. But Thomas wasn't bitter. If anything, the simplicity of his work gave him something many of the executives upstairs had lost: the space to notice people. He noticed which employees brought donuts for the security guards, which interns stayed late out of fear, which managers barked orders without looking anyone in the eye. The building was full of invisible stories, and while no one saw him, he saw them. That morning, as he rolled his cart past the executive lounge, he noticed something unusual. A boy sat alone on the sleek leather couch, a tablet balanced on his knees. He looked no older than 10. His blazer was too large for his thin frame. His tie hung awkwardly, and though his hair was neatly combed, a stubborn lock fell into his eyes. The tablet screen glowed, but his fingers weren't moving. He just stared at it, distant, as if the light couldn't hold his attention. Thomas slowed. Children didn't belong in this world of stock reports and power suits. They belonged on playgrounds, in classrooms, laughing, running. The boy's solemn expression tugged at something inside him. He was too still, too quiet. Thomas hesitated. He knew better than to intrude. The executive lounge was not his domain. Still, something in the boy's posture reminded him of his younger self, alone in rooms where the grown-ups were too busy, too tired, too consumed to notice. That kind of loneliness was heavy, and no child should carry it. He cleared his throat softly. "Morning," Thomas said, his voice low, careful not to startle. The boy's head jerked up. His eyes were striking blue, wide with a kind of alertness that shouldn't belong to someone so young. "Hi," he murmured, almost shy. "You waiting for someone?" Thomas asked gently. "My mom," the boy said, fidgeting with the edge of his blazer. "She told me to sit here and not move until she's done with her meeting." Thomas offered a kind smile. "That's a lot of sitting still." "You must be good at following directions." The boy shrugged. "She says it's important that I don't bother anyone." Thomas felt that tug again. No child should speak as if their very presence was a nuisance. He opened his mouth to reply, but the sharp chime of the elevator doors cut him off. The sound of heels striking marble followed a rhythm of authority and command. Then she appeared. Elena Marston, CEO of Marston Global. Everyone in the building knew her by reputation, if not by sight. A woman who had clawed her way to the top of the corporate world with brilliance and ferocity. She carried herself with a precision that left little room for error. Her dark hair was pulled into a severe bun. Her tailored suit was flawless, and her eyes scanned the room with the sharpness of someone used to control. Her gaze landed on her son first, and a fleeting softness crossed her features so brief it almost went unnoticed. Then she saw Thomas, and her expression hardened like steel. "You," she said, striding forward. Her voice was low but carried an edge that could slice through concrete. "You're not supposed to be near my son." Thomas froze. His hand tightened on the cart handle. "Didn't anyone teach you boundaries?" Elena continued, positioning herself protectively between Thomas and the boy. "He is not to be spoken to by employees." Thomas's instincts told him to apologize, back away. blend into the shadows where the world expected him to stay. That was safer. That was survival. But then he saw the boy's face. The shame. The way his eyes dropped to the floor, as though he had done something wrong by being noticed. Thomas's chest tightened. He remembered that feeling all too well, and something inside him wouldn't let the moment pass. With respect, Mom, Thomas said, his voice calm but steady. I wasn't trying to be near your son, but I couldn't just walk past a child who looked like he'd forgotten how to smile. The words hung in the air like a stone dropped into still water. Elena blinked, thrown off for the briefest moment. She was not a woman accustomed to being challenged, least of all by a janitor in a faded uniform. Her jaw tightened, ready to cut him down, but something in his tone stopped her. The boy looked up, his small eyes wide, searching, almost hopeful. You don't know me, Elena said finally, her voice clipped. No, Mom, Thomas admitted softly. But I know what it feels like to grow up alone in a room full of people too busy to see you. Silence stretched between them, heavy, unyielding. Elena's expression shifted, just slightly, as though she wanted to respond but couldn't find the words. Instead, she turned sharply, her hand brushing her son's shoulder. Come, she ordered. The boy obeyed, slipping off the couch and falling into step beside her. But as they walked away, he glanced back once at Thomas. Their eyes met, and in that glance there was something unspoken, a silent thread connecting them. Thomas stood there long after they disappeared into the elevator. He should have felt uneasy, worried he might lose his job for speaking out. But instead, he felt something else. It wasn't the end of that story. It was the beginning.